Hello, and welcome to Slience. Tonight, we're going to explore phenomena that cannot be explained. We often think of science as a world of hard facts, concrete answers, and bright, clinical lights. We think of it as a busy place where everything must be solved, categorized, and understood. But there is another side to science. It is the side that lives in the shadows of the unknown, where the answers aren't quite clear yet, and where mystery still holds the reins. If you enjoy these peaceful journeys, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. It helps others find their way here too, one sleepy soul at a time. For now, take a slow, deep breath in, and then let it out, long and slow. The tired day is done. Let the tension of the day drift away with that breath, like a leaf floating down a quiet stream. Let's begin our journey in the quiet, snow-dusted valleys of Norway. In a place called Hessdalen, a remote valley framed by gentle hills, something beautiful happens in the stillness of the long winter nights. For decades, residents and visitors have watched soft lights appear in the darkened sky. These are not stars, and they are not airplanes. They are known as the Hessdalen lights. They manifest as glowing orbs, sometimes white, sometimes yellow, or occasionally a deep, warm red. They float silently above the tree line, drifting with a calmness that seems almost deliberate. Unlike lightning, which is frantic and quick, these lights can linger, hovering in the air for over an hour, like lanterns suspended by invisible threads. Scientists have studied the valley for years, setting up cameras and sensors to catch glimpses of these silent visitors. Theories abound, suggesting that the unique geology of the valley acts like a natural battery, creating a charge that illuminates the air. But despite all the data, the lights remain a gentle mystery, a luminous phenomenon that simply exists, adding a touch of wonder to the polar night. Drifting from the cold air of Norway to the warm, expansive skies of northern Australia, we find a cloud formation that looks like a painting come to life. These are the morning glory, clouds. Imagine standing on a flat, grassy plain in the early hours of dawn, the air still cool and crisp. You look up to see a perfect, rolling tube of cloud stretching from one horizon to the other. It looks immense, like a long, white cylinder spinning slowly as it travels across the sky. These solitary waves can be hundreds of miles long, yet they move with a steady, rhythmic grace. While meteorologists understand the fluid dynamics of colliding sea breezes that help create them, the precise conditions that make them so perfect and so consistent in this one specific part of the world remain something of a marvel. Glider pilots travel from all over the globe just to float on the rising air in front of these clouds, surfing the sky in total silence, carried by one of nature's most spectacular and unexplained sculptures. Sometimes, the mysteries of the sky fall gently to the earth. There is a phenomenon known as star jelly, a poetic name for a strange substance that has been reported for centuries. People waking up for a morning walk in the countryside might find small, translucent patches of a gelatinous substance resting on the grass or in the branches of trees. It glistens in the morning dew, looking almost like crushed ice or clear jelly. In folklore, it was believed to be the remnants of shooting stars that had fallen to Earth during the night. Science has tried to analyze it, often finding it evaporates quickly, leaving little behind. Some samples suggest it might be related to frog spawn or slime molds, but many samples return inconclusive DNA results, simply dissolving back into the atmosphere from which it seemingly came. It is a fleeting visitor, here for a moment to catch the morning light, and then gone, leaving no trace but a memory. The Earth itself seems to have a voice. If we listen closely, enough. In various places around the world, from the coastline of England to the high deserts of New Mexico, people describe hearing the hum. This is not a loud or startling noise, but a very low, steady resonance, often compared to the sound of a diesel engine idling miles away. It is a sound on the very edge of human perception, a vibration that is felt as much as it is heard. It is most noticeable at night, when the rest of the world has quieted down. While some of these sounds can be traced to industrial sources or ocean waves crashing against the continental shelf, there are many instances where the source remains completely elusive. It is simply a background note of the planet, a low-frequency lullaby that reminds us that the Earth is always active, always vibrating with energy, even when everything seems perfectly still. Travel with me now to the vast, golden dunes of the desert. In select locations, such as the Gobi Desert or the Mojave, the sand itself can sing. This phenomenon is known as singing sands, or booming dunes. When the sand avalanches, perhaps triggered by a gentle wind or someone walking along a ridge, the friction of the grains sliding against each other creates a deep, melodic hum. It has been described as the sound of a low, flying propeller plane or a cello being bowed in a cavernous hall. The sound can last for minutes, resonating through the dry air. Scientists believe the specific size and silica coating of the sand grains allow them to lock together and vibrate in unison. But why this happens only on certain dunes and not others is a detail that nature keeps to herself. It is a soothing thought, the desert creating its own music in the solitude of the heat. In the arid grasslands of Namibia, stretching out like a polka-dotted blanket, lies a landscape mystery known as the fairy circles. If you were to look down from a plane, you would see thousands of perfect, circular patches of bare red earth surrounded by rings of tall, tufted grass. They are arranged in a surprisingly orderly pattern, stretching for miles. They look like coins dropped onto a green carpet. For a long time, local legends said they were the footprints of gods. Science offers two main gentle theories, one involving termites clearing the soil, and another suggesting the plants themselves organize into this pattern to maximize water competition. However, neither theory fully explains every aspect of the circle's behavior or their lifespan. They grow, they mature, and eventually, after decades, they fade away, overgrown by the grass once more, as if the landscape is slowly breathing in and out over the course of centuries. Water, too, holds its secrets. In the Mekong River, which winds through Southeast Asia, a phenomenon occurs that is as lovely as it is puzzling. It is known as the Naga fireballs. Once a year, typically in late autumn, glowing reddish balls of light rise silently from the surface of the river. They ascend vertically, high into the night sky, before simply fading away. There is no sound, no smoke, and no explosion. They are just bubbles of light drifting upward. Locals have celebrated this event for generations, gathering by the riverbanks in a mood of festivity and reverence. Scientists speculate that pockets of flammable gas, perhaps phosphine formed by decomposing riverbed matter, are being released and igniting upon contact with the air. Yet, the perfect timing and the synchronized nature of the rising lights continue to baffle those who try to replicate the conditions in a lab. It remains a natural firework display, orchestrated by the river itself. Deep beneath the surface of the ocean, in the profound quiet of the abyss, microphones have picked up sounds that defy easy categorization. In 1997, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration recorded a sound they simply called the Bloop. It was an ultra-low frequency sound, incredibly powerful, detected by sensors thousands of miles apart. At first, it seemed too loud to be biological, yet it had the rhythmic qualities of a living creature. For years, it was a favorite mystery of oceanographers. Today, the leading theory is calming and geological. It is thought to be the sound of a massive ice quake, a glacier calving in the Antarctic, the ice cracking and shifting in the deep freeze of the south. It is the sound of the planet adjusting its coat of ice, a deep, resonant crackle that travels through the water like a whale song, reminding us of the scale of the world we live in. Closer to our own homes, the animal kingdom offers small, warm mysteries. Consider the domestic cat. If you have ever had a cat curl up on your lap, you know the rhythmic, vibrating comfort of a purr. It is one of the most soothing sounds in the world. But scientifically, the why of the purr is still debated. Cats purr when they are happy, but also when they are injured or stressed. The frequency of a cat's purr, between 25 and 150 hertz, happens to be the exact frequency that improves bone density and promotes healing in tissue. There is a theory that cats purr not just to communicate, but to self-soothe and self-repair. They are essentially little biological healing machines, vibrating at a therapeutic frequency that helps them, and perhaps the humans holding them, to relax and recover. It is a mystery wrapped in soft fur. Then there is the epic journey of the monarch butterfly. These delicate creatures, with wings like stained glass windows, undertake a migration that spans thousands of miles, from the forests of Canada to the specific fir trees in the mountains of Mexico. The mystery lies in the fact that no single butterfly makes the entire round trip. It takes several generations. The butterflies that return to the north are the great grandchildren of the ones that left. Yet, somehow, they know exactly where to go, often returning to the exact same trees their ancestors roosted in. They navigate using the position of the sun and the magnetic pull of the earth. But how this complex map is encoded into their tiny genetic heritage is a marvel of biology that we are still unraveling. It suggests a memory that transcends the individual, a collective wisdom carried on wings of orange and black. Bird navigation, in general, is a soft puzzle of the natural world. Homing pigeons, for instance, can be transported hundreds of miles away to a place they have never been, inside a dark box. And yet, when released, they will circle once or twice and then head straight for home. We now know they have a sense called magnetoreception. They can essentially see the Earth's magnetic field. It is thought that quantum mechanics plays a role in this, with special proteins in their eyes, allowing them to visualize the magnetic lines of the planet as a guiding grid. Imagine looking at the sky and seeing a highway of energy guiding you home. While we understand the mechanics better now, the complexity of this internal compass is still a subject of awe. It allows them to traverse the globe with a confidence we humans need satellites to achieve. Let us cast our eyes upward again, above the clouds, to the very edge of space. For a long time, pilots reported seeing strange flashes of color above thunderstorms, but they were often dismissed as tricks of the eye. We now know these are real atmospheric phenomena called transient luminous events, but they have more whimsical names: red sprites and blue jets. A red sprite is a burst of red light that occurs high above a storm cloud, reaching up toward the ionosphere. They look like jellyfish, with dangling tendrils and a soft, glowing cap. They last for just a fraction of a second, a silent discharge of cold plasma. Blue jets are similar, but shoot upward in narrow cones of blue light. These are the lightning of the upper atmosphere, but unlike the jagged, hot bolts we see near the ground, these are diffuse, colorful, and cold. They are the secret fireworks of the stratosphere, a hidden light show occurring far above our heads while we sleep through the storms below. On the ground, in the remote calmness of Death Valley, California, there is a dry lake bed known as Racetrack Playa. It is a flat, beige expanse of dried mud, cracked by the sun. Scattered across this landscape are large rocks, some weighing hundreds of pounds. Behind these rocks are long, winding trails etched into the mud, showing that the rocks have moved great distances. For decades, no one ever saw them move. They were stationary sentinels in the desert. The mystery of the sailing stones was finally solved gently a few years ago. It requires a perfect, rare combination of conditions. Rain must flood the playa to a shallow depth, then freeze overnight into thin sheets of window pane ice. When the morning sun melts the ice and a light breeze picks up, the floating sheets of ice push the rocks slowly across the slippery mud, inch by inch. It is a slow, motion ballet of ice, wind, and stone, happening only when no one is watching, leaving behind trails that look like the calligraphy of the desert. In the dense rainforests of the Amazon, there is a bird called the cinereus, mourner. The chicks of this bird have a peculiar and unexplained adaptation. They are born with bright orange feathers with black tips, and they move their heads in a slow, weaving motion. They look exactly, and I mean exactly, like a toxic caterpillar native to the area. This mimicry is so precise that predators avoid the helpless chick, thinking it is a poisonous insect. While mimicry is common in nature, for a bird to mimic an insect so perfectly in both appearance and movement is a rare and delightful evolutionary riddle. It is a gentle deception, a way for a vulnerable creature to stay safe by pretending to be something it is not, wrapped in the safety of a disguise until it is old enough to fly. Finally, let's consider a phenomenon that you can see in many forests around the world, perhaps even in a park near you. It is called crown shyness. If you stand in a dense forest of tall trees, like camphor, eucalyptus, or pine, and look straight up, you might notice that the uppermost branches of the trees do not touch. They leave thin, winding channels of blue sky between them, creating a jigsaw puzzle pattern in the canopy. It looks like a river system of light flowing between the leaves. Scientists have various calming theories for this. It might be to prevent the spread of leaf-eating insects, or perhaps to let light reach the forest floor, or maybe the trees simply stop growing when they sense the wind brushing them against a neighbor. Whatever the reason, it is a display of natural courtesy. The trees respect each other's space, creating a beautiful, backlit mosaic that allows the forest to breathe. It is a reminder that even in nature, boundaries can be beautiful. Let us float away from the forest canopy and drift out to the open ocean, where the water stretches to the horizon in every direction. There is a phenomenon here that sailors have whispered about for centuries, something known as the Milky Seas. For a long time, this was thought to be a tall tale, a story told to pass the time on long, dark voyages. Sailors described nights where the ocean turned a pale, glowing white, stretching for miles like a field of snow, illuminating the clouds above. In 2005, satellite imagery finally confirmed that these stories were true. A satellite captured a patch of bioluminescent water in the Indian Ocean that was the size of Connecticut. Scientists believe this is caused by a massive bloom of bioluminescent bacteria, billions of tiny lives glowing in unison. But the mystery remains. Why do they glow all at once, on such a massive scale, instead of flashing individually? It is a display of synchronized light that turns the dark, lonely ocean into a glowing blanket, a comfort to anyone sailing through the night. Deep beneath those glowing waves, off the coast of Japan, another artist is at work. For years, divers noticed strange, intricate geometric patterns in the sand of the sea floor. These were perfect circles, about 7 feet wide, decorated with ridges and valleys radiating from the center. They looked like underwater crop circles, carefully sculpted by a mathematical hand. The mystery was solved when they discovered the artist was a tiny male pufferfish, no more than 5 inches long. He works tirelessly for days, using his fins to plow the sand, creating this masterpiece to attract a mate. He even decorates the ridges with shells and coral fragments. The scientific mystery lies in the instinctual engineering required to create such perfection. How does a small fish understand the hydrodynamics needed to maintain these structures against the current? It is a labor of love, hidden in the blue depths, a reminder that the drive to create beauty exists in the smallest of creatures. Drifting in the currents of the Mediterranean Sea is a creature that challenges our very understanding of life and death. It is a small, transparent hydrozoan known as the Turritopsis dohernii, or more commonly, the immortal jellyfish. Most jellyfish have a set life cycle. They are born, they grow, they reproduce, and they pass away. But when this particular jellyfish is injured, stressed, or simply old, it can do something incredible. It sinks to the bottom and transforms its cells backwards. It reverts to its earliest stage of life, the polyp stage, essentially becoming a baby again. It then grows up anew. Theoretically, it can do this forever. It is a biological loop that defies the linear nature of time. While predators prevent them from truly living forever in the wild, the biological capability to simply hit, reset, and start over is a wondrous anomaly in the animal kingdom, a quiet rebellion against the concept of aging. Let us rise from the water and look toward the horizon just as the sun is setting. If the sky is clear and the view is unobstructed, you might be lucky enough to see the green flash. This is a phenomenon that happens in the very last second of sunset, just as the upper rim of the sun dips below the horizon. For a fleeting moment, a spot of intense emerald green light hovers above the sun. It lasts only a blink of an eye. It is caused by the atmosphere acting as a prism, separating the sunlight into different colors. The blue and violet light is scattered by the air, and the red and orange light dips below, the curve of the earth, leaving only the green to reach our eyes. It is a rare, beautiful punctuation mark at the end of the day, a little secret shared between the sun and the observer. While rainbows are a familiar joy during the day, the night has its own version, soft and ghostly. These are called moonbows. They are rare, requiring a very specific set of conditions: a full, bright moon hanging low in the sky, dark surroundings, and rain falling opposite the moon. Because the moonlight is so much fainter than sunlight, these bows often look white or silver to the human eye, ghostly arcs stretching across the stars. However, if you were to take a long, exposure photograph, you would see that they contain all the colors of a daytime rainbow, just muted and soft. They are the quiet echo of the day's weather, appearing near waterfalls or sweeping rains, a reminder that color exists even in the dark. Back on solid ground, beneath the soil of the world's oldest forests, there is a network that scientists have affectionately dubbed the Wood Wide Web. We used to think of trees as solitary individuals, competing for light and water. But we now know that underneath the forest floor, trees are connected by a vast, complex network of fungal threads called mycelium. This network connects the roots of different trees, even different species. Through these connections, trees can share water and nutrients. An older, larger tree can send sugar to a younger sapling growing in the shade. They can even send chemical distress signals to warn their neighbors of pests. The unexplained part is the complexity of this altruism. It suggests a level of community and cooperation in the plant world that is far more sophisticated than we ever imagined. The forest is not a collection of individuals. It is a single, breathing super-organism holding hands beneath the earth. In the dry heat of British Columbia's Okanagan Valley, there is a body of water called Spotted Lake. In the winter and spring, it looks like a normal lake. But as the summer heat evaporates the water, the lake transforms into hundreds of huge pools, each framed by crystallized minerals. These pools range in color from yellow to green to blue, looking like a massive artist's palette dropped on the ground. The spots are caused by high concentrations of magnesium sulfate, calcium, and sodium. What makes it a gentle mystery is the specific geology that concentrates so many different minerals in this one small basin, creating a shifting mosaic that changes with the seasons. It has been a sacred site of healing for the indigenous peoples of the area for centuries, a place where the earth offers up its medicine in beautiful, colorful circles. Let us travel to the bitter cold of Siberia, to Lake Baikal, the deepest and oldest freshwater lake in the world. In the spring, astronauts aboard the International Space Station looked down and saw something strange, giant, dark circles in the ice, some over 2 miles wide. These Baikal ice rings are so large they can only be seen from high above. For a long time, their origin was a puzzle. Recent studies suggest they are formed by warm eddies of water, swirling deep beneath the ice, slowly melting the surface from below in a circular pattern. It is a slow, thermal dance happening in the dark, cold water, creating perfect geometry on the surface that vanishes as soon as the ice melts. It is a reminder of the hidden currents that move beneath even the most frozen and solid landscapes. Sometimes, the unexplained is simply a trick of perspective that delights the mind. Across the world, from Pennsylvania to Scotland, there are places known as gravity hills or magnetic hills. If you drive your car to the bottom of one of these slopes and put it in neutral, it will appear to roll uphill against gravity. It feels like a magical force is pulling you toward the summit. In reality, it is a masterful optical illusion created by the surrounding landscape. The horizon line is obscured or tilted, and the layout of the trees and embankments tricks your brain into thinking a downhill slope is actually going uphill. Even when you know the science, the sensation of rolling backward up a hill is a wonderful, playful experience, a gentle reminder that our senses are not always perfect interpreters of reality. In the realm of the very small, there is a creature that seems to have stepped out of a science fiction book, yet it lives in the moss of your backyard. This is the tardigrade, also known as the water bear. These microscopic, 8-legged animals are undeniably cute, looking like tiny, chubby bears. But their resilience is the true mystery. They can survive the vacuum of space, crushing pressure, and extreme radiation. When conditions get too dry or too cold, they enter a state called cryptobiosis. They curl up into a little ball, dry out, and essentially pause their life. Their metabolism slows to 0.01% of normal. They can stay in this sleep-like state for decades. When water returns, they rehydrate and wake up as if nothing happened. Scientists are still studying the specific proteins that allow them to protect their DNA so perfectly during this long sleep. They are the ultimate masters of patience, waiting out the storm until the world is ready for them again. Let us look at a phenomenon that has guided and puzzled sailors for millennia: St. Elmo's fire. This is not fire at all, but a continuous electric spark, a plasma that glows blue or violet. It appears on the pointed tips of ships' masts, airplane wings, or even the horns of cattle during a thunderstorm. It looks like a ghostly flame flickering in the wind, but it does not burn. It is often accompanied by a soft buzzing or hissing sound. For ancient sailors, it was seen as a good omen, a sign of protection from the patron saint of sailors, Saint Elmo. Scientifically, it is a coronal discharge caused by the ionization of the air in a strong electric field. But knowing the physics doesn't take away the magic of seeing a ship's mast crowned in blue light during a storm, a serene glow amidst the chaos of the wind and waves. We have looked at the sky and the sea, but perhaps the most profound mysteries are the ones we carry around with us every day. Let's turn our gaze inward to the quiet hum of the human experience. Close your eyes for a moment. You might notice that even in a pitch black room, your vision is not completely dark. You see swirling patterns of color, faint specks of blue or green, or slowly shifting clouds of gray. This phenomenon is known as phosphenes. It is not light entering your eyes. It is your visual system creating its own light. The cells in your retina are always active, and even without photons to stimulate them, they emit a background hum of electrical activity. Your brain interprets this spontaneous activity as light. It is a gentle reminder that you are a being made of energy, capable of creating your own internal aurora borealis when the outside world goes dark. There is another quirk of the mind that feels like a soft echo in time: déjà vu. Most of us have felt it, that sudden, strange sensation that you have been in this exact moment before, that you have heard these exact words, or seen this exact room. It is a fleeting feeling of familiarity in a new situation. While there are many theories, a leading gentle explanation is that it is simply a momentary lag in your brain's processing. One part of your brain might register an event a split second faster than the part responsible for conscious memory. By the time you realize what is happening, your brain has already filed it away as a memory. It is a harmless hiccup in the flow of time, a moment where the present and the past touch briefly, like two pages of a book sticking together. Then there is the mystery of the hypnic jerk. You know this feeling well. You are drifting off to sleep, your muscles are relaxing, and suddenly, your body gives a little twitch, as if you have slipped off a curb. It often wakes you up for just a second. While it can be surprising, evolutionary biologists offer a comforting theory. They suggest it is an ancient reflex from when our ancestors slept in trees. As the muscles relax too much, the brain might have interpreted that sensation as falling, sending a quick signal to the muscles to tense up and catch a branch. It is a biological postcard from our distant past, a protective reflex that has stayed with us through the millennia, watching over us as we transition from waking to sleeping. The connection between the mind and the body holds perhaps the greatest healing mystery of all, the placebo effect. It is well documented that if a person believes a treatment will help them, even if that treatment is just a sugar pill with no medicine, their condition often improves. Their pain lessens, their blood pressure drops, and their anxiety fades. This is not all in their head in a dismissive sense. It is a demonstration of the brain's ability to unlock the body's own pharmacy. The belief alone triggers the release of endorphins and other healing chemicals. It suggests that our minds are powerful healers, and that hope and belief are active ingredients in our well-being. Let us step back in time now to the mysteries left behind by those who walked the earth long before us. In a library at Yale University, there sits a book that no one can read. It is called the Voynich manuscript. Written in the early 15th century, it is filled with beautiful, looping handwriting and delicate illustrations of plants, stars, and bathing nymphs. The plants look familiar, but do not match any known species on Earth. The script is flowing and consistent, suggesting it is a real language, not gibberish. Yet despite the best efforts of code breakers from World War II and modern computer algorithms, not a single sentence has been deciphered. It rests there as a peaceful enigma, a book of secrets that refuses to be opened, perhaps containing lost herbal remedies or a forgotten poetic view of the world. In the ancient world, builders possessed knowledge that we are only just rediscovering. Consider the concrete of the Roman Empire. We have modern concrete structures that crumble after 50 years, yet the Pantheon in Rome, with its massive unreinforced concrete dome, has stood for nearly 2,000 years. For a long time, this durability was a mystery. Recently, scientists discovered that the Romans used volcanic ash and seawater in their mix. When cracks form in the concrete and seawater seeps in, a chemical reaction occurs that creates a rare mineral called tobermorite. This mineral grows into the cracks, effectively sealing them up. The concrete heals itself. It is a smart material, invented millennia ago, born from a harmony between human engineering and the natural power of volcanoes in the sea. Similarly, in the Middle East, swordsmiths once forged blades of a material known as Damascus steel. These blades were legendary, said to be sharp enough to cut a falling silk scarf in mid-air, yet flexible enough to bend without breaking. They bore a distinctive, watery pattern on the metal, like flowing ripples. The technique for making them was lost in the 18th century. Modern analysis of surviving blades has revealed something successful and strange. The steel contains carbon nanotubes, incredibly strong microscopic structures that we only learned to synthesize in modern labs recently. Somehow, through their specific process of smelting and forging, these ancient craftsmen were creating nanotechnology in their fires, guided not by microscopes, but by intuition and tradition. On the high desert plains of Peru, the earth itself is a canvas. The Nazca lines are massive geoglyphs etched into the dry ground between 500 BC and 500 AD. They depict animals, a hummingbird, a spider, a monkey, as well as simple geometric lines. Some of these figures are over 1,000 feet wide. They are created by removing the reddish pebbles of the desert floor to reveal the pale ground beneath. The mystery is not just how they were made, but why. They are so large that they can only be fully appreciated from the sky. For a civilization without airplanes, these were images meant for the eyes of the heavens, or perhaps intended to be walked as ceremonial paths. They remain there today, preserved by the windless, dry climate, a silent gallery open to the stars. Across the ocean, in the deep jungles of Costa Rica, explorers in the 1930s stumbled upon hundreds of stone spheres. They range in size from a few inches to over 6 feet in diameter. What is baffling is their perfection. Many of them are nearly perfect spheres, smooth and round. They were crafted by the Diki culture over 1,000 years ago. Without metal tools or laser measurements, these artisans shaped hard stone into perfect geometry. We do not know their purpose, whether they were status symbols, navigational markers, or representations of the planets. They sit in the green overgrowth, heavy and silent, monuments to a mathematical precision that time has not eroded. In the mesmerizing sands of Egypt, the Great Pyramid of Giza holds a sonic secret. While we marvel at its construction, acoustic engineers have discovered that the King's Chamber possesses remarkable sound properties. If you were to stand inside and make a sound, the reverberation is incredibly long and distinct. But more interestingly, the dimensions of the chamber seem tuned to a specific frequency. Some researchers suggest that the granite beams above the chamber were designed to resonate, creating a hum that could be felt in the body. Whether this was for ritual chanting, healing, or simply a byproduct of the architecture, it suggests that the ancients understood the power of sound and space to alter human perception, building a monument that sings when spoken to. Traveling north to the windswept islands of Scotland, we find the stone circles of Orkney. Older than Stonehenge and the pyramids, these standing stones have weathered the gales for 5,000 years. The mystery here lies in the logistics. The stones are massive slabs of sandstone quarried miles away. Without wheels or large animals to haul them, the Neolithic people moved these giants across the rolling terrain. But beyond the how, there is the why. The stones are aligned perfectly with the movements of the sun and moon. At the winter solstice, the setting sun shines straight through the entrance of the nearby burial chamber, Maesho, illuminating the back wall. It is a precise calendar built of rock, a testament to a people who watched the sky with such intent that they could anchor the heavens to the earth. Deep in the archives of history, there are stories of a flexible glass. During the reign of the Roman Emperor Tiberius, a craftsman supposedly presented a glass bowl that, when thrown to the floor, did not shatter but merely dented. The craftsman repaired it with a small hammer. The emperor, fearing this new material would devalue gold and silver, supposedly had the workshop destroyed. While this story may be a legend, it speaks to the human fascination with materials that defy expectation. Today, we are finally creating flexible glass for our phones and screens, chasing a dream that was whispered about in the marble halls of Rome 2,000 years ago. Let us consider the Antikythera mechanism. Recovered from a shipwreck off the Greek island of Antikythera at the turn of the 20th century, it looked like a corroded lump of bronze and wood. But when scientists looked inside with X-rays, they were astounded. It contained a complex system of at least 30 meshing bronze gears. It was, effectively, an ancient analog computer dating back to around 100 BC. It was used to predict astronomical positions and eclipses for calendrical and astrological purposes. It could even track the 4-year cycle of the ancient Olympic Games. The technology required to build such a device was not thought to exist for another 1,000 years. It is a singular object, a mechanical genius from the deep past, reminding us that history is not a straight line of progress, but a winding path where brilliance can bloom, be lost, and then be found again in the quiet of the sea. Let us return to the soft embrace of the forest, specifically to the Great Smoky Mountains in Tennessee. Here, for a few weeks every year, a magical event takes place in the darkness. It involves the Photinus carolinus, a species of firefly. While most fireflies flash independently, creating a random sparkle in the woods, these fireflies have a unique and mesmerizing habit. They synchronize. Thousands of them will blink on and off at the exact same moment. The forest plunges into darkness, and then, 6 seconds later, bursts into light, as if the trees are breathing with bioluminescence. Scientists believe this synchronization helps males find females in the visual clutter of the forest, a rhythm of light that allows them to communicate clearly. standing there, watching the forest pulse with a silent, yellow, green rhythm, feels like witnessing a heartbeat of the earth itself. Travel with me now to the Curonian Spit, a narrow strip of land separating the Curonian Lagoon from the Baltic Sea. Here, there is a section of pine trees known as the Dancing Forest. Unlike the straight, disciplined pines usually found in the region, these trees twist and curl into loops, spirals, and circles near their base. Some even form perfect rings that you could crawl through. They look as though they were frozen in the middle of a slow, graceful dance. Local folklore has many stories, but scientists suggest the shaping might be caused by the activity of the pine shoot moth, damaging the young buds, or perhaps shifting sands affecting the roots. Whatever the cause, the result is a grove of trees that refuses to follow the straight line, choosing instead to curve and sway in permanent stillness. In the tropical warmth of the Philippines, Indonesia, and Papua New Guinea, there grows a tree that looks like an artist's masterpiece. The rainbow eucalyptus sheds its bark in strips at different times of the year. As the outer bark peels away, it reveals a bright green inner bark. Over time, this inner bark matures and changes color to blue, purple, orange, and then maroon tones. Because the peeling happens in irregular patches, the trunk becomes a vertical canvas of streaked neon colors. It looks almost artificial, as if someone has painted the forest with watercolors. But it is entirely natural, a functional beauty where the shedding bark prevents other plants from growing on the trunk, keeping the tree clean and healthy while delighting the eyes of anyone wandering through the grove. In the small town of Yoro, Honduras, there is a phenomenon that has been reported annually for over a century. It is known as Lluvia de Peces, or the rain of fish. Typically occurring in May or June, a heavy storm rolls in with great dark clouds. When the rain stops and the water recedes, the villagers find hundreds of small, living fish flopping on the wet ground. It sounds impossible, yet it happens with such regularity that there is a festival to celebrate it. The gentle scientific explanation is that waterspouts, tornadoes that form over water, might be sucking up fish from the nearby Atlantic Ocean, transporting them high in the clouds and depositing them miles inland. Another theory suggests the fish are river dwellers that are forced up from underground caverns by the rising water tables. Either way, it is a moment where the boundaries between the sky and the sea seem to dissolve. Deep beneath the soil of the Malheur National Forest in Oregon, a giant is sleeping. It is not a creature of folklore, but a fungus. The Armillaria ostoyi, or honey mushroom, is actually the largest known organism on Dao's Earth. While we only see the small, golden mushrooms that pop up in the autumn, they are all connected by a massive underground network of mycelium that occupies nearly 4 square miles. This single organism is estimated to be thousands of years old, slowly spreading through the soil, breaking down decaying wood and recycling nutrients. It is a comforting thought that beneath our feet, there are ancient, silent networks of life that sustain the forest, vast and unseen, knitting the landscape together. On the coast of Western Australia, there is a lake that defies the expected color palette of nature. Lake Hillier is not blue, nor green, but a vivid, bubblegum pink. Even if you were to scoop some water into a glass, it would remain pink. Unlike other pink lakes that change color with the temperature, Lake Hillier stays this way year-round. The color is due to a specific microalgae called Dunaliella salina and a type of pink bacteria that thrive in the salty water. Despite its unusual appearance, the water is safe. It sits there, a bright splash of joy against the deep blue of the nearby ocean, and the green of the eucalyptus forest, a reminder that nature loves to play with color. Have you ever noticed how the world sounds different after a fresh snowfall? There is a profound hush that settles over the landscape. This is not just your imagination or the result of fewer cars on the road. It is a physical property of the snow itself. Fresh, fluffy snow is composed of ice crystals with plenty of open space between them. This structure acts like a high-quality acoustic foam, absorbing sound waves rather than reflecting them. It dampens the noise of the world, creating a cone of silence that feels protective and serene. It is one of the few times nature actively turns down the volume, inviting us to listen to the quiet. Let us consider the smell that arrives just before or during a gentle rain. That earthy, fresh scent has a name, petrichor. It is a scent that feels universally pleasant and calming to humans. The mystery of why we love it so much is rooted in our biology. The smell comes from a compound called geosmin, produced by soil bacteria, and plant oils released into the air by raindrops. Our noses are incredibly sensitive to geosmin. We can detect it at concentrations as low as 5 parts per trillion. Scientists believe our ancestors evolved this sensitivity to help them find fresh water and fertile soil. So when you take a deep breath of that rainy air and feel relaxed, you are connecting with a survival instinct from thousands of years ago, a biological memory of safety and sustenance. Floating through the annals of meteorology is the rare and elusive phenomenon of ball lightning. For centuries, people have reported seeing glowing spheres of electricity, ranging from the size of a golf ball to a beach ball, drifting through the air during thunderstorms. Unlike a lightning bolt, which lasts for a microsecond, ball lightning can float for several seconds, sometimes moving horizontally or even passing through closed windows without damaging them. It often glows with a blue, orange, or yellow light. While we can recreate similar plasma balls in the lab, the natural formation of these stable, floating orbs remains a subject of debate. It is a reminder that energy can take on strange, ghostly forms, drifting through our houses like a silent visitor before vanishing into thin air. We look now to the stars for a mystery that lasted only 72 seconds. In 1977, a radio telescope in Ohio picked up a strong, narrowband radio signal coming from the direction of the constellation Sagittarius. It bore the expected hallmarks of non-terrestrial origin. The astronomer who found it was so impressed, he circled the data on the printout and wrote, "Wow," in the margin. It became known as the WOW signal. Despite decades of listening to that same spot in the sky, the signal has never been heard again. Recent soothing theories suggest it might have been the radio transmission of a passing comet surrounded by a hydrogen cloud. But for a brief moment, the universe whispered something loud and clear, and then returned to its comfortable silence, leaving us to wonder if it was a greeting or just a cosmic echo. Consider the moon trees. In 1971, astronaut Stuart Roosa took hundreds of tree seeds, redwoods, pines, sycamores, with him on the Apollo 14 mission. These seeds orbited the moon, traveling through the vacuum of space, far from the soil of Earth. Upon returning, they were planted across the United States. The mystery was whether the exposure to microgravity and cosmic radiation would change them. As it turns out, they grew perfectly normally. Today, there are tall, healthy trees growing in parks and universities that have traveled further than any human being ever will again. They look just like any other tree, but their history is celestial. They are living monuments to a journey through the stars, quietly providing shade while holding the memory of the moon in their rings. Let us lift our gaze from the trees of Earth to the rings of Saturn. This gas giant holds one of the solar system's most precise and beautiful mysteries. If you were to float above the North Pole of Saturn, looking down, you would see a storm. But this is not a chaotic spiral like the hurricanes we know on Earth. It is a perfect hexagon. This six-sided jet stream is massive. Each side is wider than our entire planet. It rotates at the same speed as the planet's interior, maintaining its sharp, geometric edges despite the gaseous winds swirling around it. Scientists have recreated similar shapes in rotating fluids in the lab, suggesting that differences in wind speeds can create standing waves that look like polygons. Yet, seeing such perfect geometry on a planetary scale, a hexagon that has persisted for decades in the vacuum of space, is a calming reminder that order exists even in the wildest storms. It is a kaleidoscope that never stops turning, watching over the solar system with mathematical precision. Back here on Earth, in the Fish Lake National Forest of Utah, lives a single organism that weighs over 13 million pounds. It is a grove of quaking aspen trees known as pando, a Latin word that translates to "I spread." To the casual observer, pando looks like a forest of 47,000 individual trees. Their white bark and fluttering green leaves create a beautiful, shimmering canopy. But underground, they all share a single, massive root system. They are genetically identical clones of one another. When the wind blows through the canyon, the leaves of pando tremble in unison, creating a soft rushing sound that has been described as a whisper from the earth itself. Pando is estimated to be thousands of years old, perhaps even tens of thousands, making it one of the oldest living things on the planet. It quietly survives fires and droughts, regenerating from its roots, a testament to the resilience of connection. In the darkness of the Waitomo Caves in New Zealand, the ceiling looks like the night sky. This is not a view of the cosmos, but a biological wonder known as Arachnocampa luminosa, or the glowworm. Thousands of these tiny larvae cling to the rock face, each producing a soft, blue-green bioluminescence. They hang down delicate, sticky silk threads that catch the light, looking like strings of pearls or fiber, optic cables suspended in the dark. Visitors drift through these caves on small boats in total silence, gliding beneath a subterranean galaxy. The light is produced by a chemical reaction that is nearly 100% efficient, meaning it creates light without creating heat. It is a cool, safe glow. The result is a living constellation that exists deep underground, a secret starry night for the Earth itself. There is a strange and soothing tendency in physics known as spontaneous synchronization. In the 17th century, the inventor of the pendulum clock, Christian Huygens, noticed something odd. He had two clocks hanging on the same wooden beam. No matter how he started them, eventually, their pendulums would swing in perfect opposition to one another, one going left while the other went right, in a precise rhythm. He called it an odd kind of sympathy. We now know that the tiny vibrations traveling through the wood allowed the clocks to communicate and synchronize their energy. This happens in nature, too. Fireflies do it, heart cells do it, and even the moon has synchronized its rotation with the Earth so that we only ever see one face. It suggests that the universe has a preference for harmony, a gentle pull that brings separate things into a shared rhythm. In the shallow basins of Mexico City, specifically in the remnants of Lake Xochimilco, lives the axolotl. This creature is often called the Peter Pan of the animal kingdom because it never really grows up. Most salamanders go through a metamorphosis, losing their gills and moving on to land. The axolotl, however, keeps its feathery pink external gills and its aquatic lifestyle for its entire life, remaining in a permanent state of youth. But its true mystery is its ability to heal. If an axolotl loses a limb, it doesn't just form a scar, it regrows the limb perfectly, bone, muscle, and nerve, often in just a few weeks. It can even regenerate parts of its heart and brain. Scientists study them in hopes of unlocking secrets for human healing. But for now, the axolotl simply swims in the quiet waters, wearing a permanent, gentle smile, a master of restoration. On the rugged coast of Fort Bragg, California, there is a beach that glitters in the sun. Decades ago, this was a dumping ground for garbage. It was a place of sharp edges and broken glass. But the ocean, with its infinite patience, took that refuse and transformed it. Over years of tumbling in the surf, the waves ground down the shards of glass, smoothing them into rounded, frosted pebbles. Today, Glass Beach is covered in millions of these sea glass gems, clear, green, amber, and rare ruby reds. It is a place where the ocean has corrected our mistakes, turning sharp trash into smooth treasure. The rhythmic crashing of the waves acted like a giant rock tumbler, a slow, persistent force that turned something dangerous into something beautiful to hold in your hand. High above the Catatumbo River in Venezuela, where it meets Lake Maracaibo, the sky puts on a nightly performance that has lasted for centuries. It is known as the Catatumbo Lightning, or the Everlasting Storm. For up to 300 nights a year, for hours at a time, lightning flashes across the sky in a near, continuous display. It is so consistent that sailors used to use it as a lighthouse to navigate the Caribbean. The unique geography of the surrounding mountains traps warm trade winds and cold air from the Andes, creating the perfect machine for static electricity. Often, the lightning occurs high in the clouds and is visible from hundreds of miles away without any accompanying thunder, just a silent, rhythmic pulsing of light in the distance. It is a storm that feels less like weather and more like a permanent feature of the atmosphere, a beating heart of energy. In the insect world, there is a mystery rooted in prime numbers. Periodical cicadas, found in North America, spend almost their entire lives underground, sipping fluid from tree roots in the dark. They wait for exactly 13 years, or exactly 17 years, depending on the brood. Then, all at once, millions of them emerge to transform, fly, and sing. The mystery is why they chose 13 and 17, both prime numbers. The leading soothing theory is that by emerging in prime number intervals, they avoid syncing up with the life cycles of predators. If a predator had a 2-year cycle, it would only meet the 13-year cicadas every 26 years. By using math, these insects ensure their survival. It is a long, patient nap lasting nearly 2 decades, ending in a brief, glorious celebration of life before the cycle begins again. Far out in the cosmos, there is a region of space that astronomers call the Great Attractor. It sounds imposing, but you can think of it as a gentle current in a vast ocean. Our galaxy, the Milky Way, and thousands of other galaxies around us are all moving toward this specific point in space at a steady speed. We cannot see exactly what is there because it is hidden behind the dust and stars of our own galaxy's plane, a region curiously called the Zone of Avoidance. Scientists believe it is a massive concentration of galaxies, a gravity valley that is slowly drawing everything towards it. It is not a collision course, but a drift. We are flowing through the universe like a leaf on a river, guided by the gravity of a mystery we cannot see. held in the grand flow of the intergalactic web. Let us plunge back into the blue, to a geological wonder known as a blue hole. The most famous, Dean's Blue Hole in the Bahamas, looks like a giant, dark blue eye opening in the turquoise coral reef. It is a sinkhole filled with water, plunging down hundreds of feet. While the surface might be choppy with waves, the water inside the hole, protected by its depth, is often perfectly still. At the bottom of some blue holes, the water is anoxic, meaning it has no oxygen, which preserves organic material perfectly. Leaves that fell in thousands of years ago can still be found intact. It is a time capsule of the ocean, a deep, quiet chamber where the water is heavy and history is held in suspended animation. In the realm of the very cold, we find the snowflake. We have all heard that no two snowflakes are alike, and the physics behind this is a delicate dance of chaos and order. As an ice crystal falls through the sky, it encounters different temperatures and humidity levels. These changing conditions dictate how the crystal branches grow. Because every snowflake takes a slightly different path through the clouds, experiencing a unique history of weather on its way down, every snowflake develops a unique shape. It is a physical map of its own journey. But the center of the snowflake, the tiny hexagonal prism where it began, remains a testament to the molecular structure of water. It is a symbol of individuality born from a common source, a fleeting masterpiece of ice that exists for a moment before melting back into the flow of the world. There is a phenomenon in acoustics known as the whispering gallery. The most famous example is in the dome of St. Paul's Cathedral in London, but it occurs in Grand Central Terminal and other arched spaces too. If you stand facing the wall on one side of the massive dome and whisper, the sound waves travel along the curve of the wall, clinging to the surface with very little loss of energy. A person standing on the exact opposite side of the dome, hundreds of feet away, can hear your whisper as clearly as if you were speaking directly into their ear. It is a geometry that connects strangers. It turns a massive, imposing space into an intimate one, proving that even the softest voice can travel great distances if the architecture is right. Let us return to the sky, to a coincidence so precise that it feels like a gift of cosmic geometry. We are all familiar with the solar eclipse, that moment when the moon slides perfectly in front of the sun, blocking out its light and leaving only a glowing halo, or corona, visible. What makes this phenomenon a mystery of probability is the math behind it. The sun is roughly 400 times larger than the moon. However, the sun is also roughly 400 times farther away from Earth than the moon is. Because of this perfect ratio, 400 to 1, the sun and the moon appear to be the exact same size in our sky. This allows the moon to cover the sun precisely, fitting over it like a custom-made lid. Astronomers tell us this is a temporary state of affairs. Millions of years ago, the moon was closer, and millions of years from now, it will be further away. But we are living in the exact, fleeting window of time where the geometry of the heavens aligns perfectly to create this spectacle. It is a moment of balance, a celestial hug where the day turns to twilight and the stars come out to watch. Drifting much further out into our solar system, we reach the ice giants, Uranus and Neptune. These massive, blue planets hold a secret deep within their thick atmospheres that sounds like a fairy tale. The atmospheric pressure on these planets is so intense that it forces carbon atoms to crush together into crystal structures. Scientists believe that it literally rains diamonds on Neptune and Uranus. These are not small gems, but potentially large stones, falling slowly through the heavy, gaseous mantle like glittering hailstones. They descend toward the planet's core, melting into a sea of liquid carbon. It is a rain of riches that no human eye has ever seen, a silent, sparkling storm occurring in the cold depths of space, adding a touch of luxury to the lonely outer reaches of our neighborhood. Back on Earth, grazing in the quiet pastures of the countryside, cattle are participating in a global phenomenon that went unnoticed for thousands of years. We have domesticated cows for millennia, yet it wasn't until scientists looked at satellite images on Google Earth that they noticed a strange pattern. When cows graze or rest, they tend to align their bodies along the north-south axis, facing magnetic north or south. It doesn't matter if it is sunny or cloudy, or which way the wind is blowing. Deer do it, too. It suggests that these gentle animals have an internal magnetic compass, a sixth sense that allows them to feel the magnetic lines of the earth. They find comfort in alignment. It is a peaceful thought. Herds of animals across the globe, quietly acting as living compass needles, turning themselves in harmony with the planet's energy while they rest. In the ruins of Masada, an ancient fortress overlooking the Dead Sea, archaeologists discovered a small jar of seeds in the 1960s. These were seeds of the Judean date palm, a tree famous in antiquity for its fruit and shade but which had gone extinct centuries ago. The seeds sat on a shelf in a university for decades, until a botanist decided to try and plant one. She gave the ancient seed warm water and fertilizer, treating it with a gentle hope. Miraculously, the seed sprouted. It had been dormant for 2,000 years, sleeping through the rise and fall of empires, waiting for the right moment to wake up. The tree, named Methuselah, is now growing and thriving. It is a living time capsule, a green bridge connecting us directly to the history of the ancient world, proving that life is incredibly patient and resilient. In the microscopic world, there is an organism that challenges our understanding of intelligence. It is a slime mold called Physarum polycephalum. It has no brain, no nervous system, and is essentially just a single giant cell in a bright yellow blob. Yet, it can solve complex problems. If you place it in a maze with food at two ends, it will explore every path, then retract the parts of itself that are in dead ends, eventually leaving a thick, pulsing tube connecting the food sources by the shortest possible route. In a famous experiment, scientists arranged oat flakes in the pattern of cities around Tokyo. The slime mold grew to connect the oats, recreating the Tokyo railway system, a network designed by human engineers over decades, in just a few hours. It suggests that intelligence is not just something that happens in a brain. It is a fundamental property of life, a fluid wisdom that knows how to connect and survive. Let us look up at the clouds again. Occasionally, you might see a formation that looks exactly like a series of breaking ocean waves, complete with curling crests. These are called Kelvin, Helmholtz instability clouds. They look like a row of stylized waves in a Japanese painting. They form when two layers of air are moving at different speeds, a faster layer moving over a slower, denser layer. The friction between them scoops up the top of the cloud into a perfect spiral. Even though the physics are complex fluid dynamics, the result is poetic. It is the sky mimicking the ocean, a reminder that air is a fluid just like water, moving in currents and tides, creating surf high above our heads, where the only sound is the wind. Deep in the ocean, there are lakes that exist underwater. These are known as brine pools, because the water in these pools is extremely salty, up to 5 times saltier than the surrounding ocean. It is much denser and heavier. It sinks to the bottom and stays there, refusing to mix with the seawater above. These pools have their own distinct shorelines, and even their own waves. Submarines can float on top of the brine pool, just like a boat floats on a lake. It is a surreal landscape, a lake within an ocean. They are quiet, stable environments that have remained unchanged for thousands of years, hosting unique ecosystems of mussels and shrimp that skirt the edges of the salty deep, living on the shores of a secret, sunken sea. There is a frequency that encircles our planet, a natural heartbeat of the Earth. It is called the Schumann resonance. Lightning strikes the Earth about 50 times every second. These bursts of electromagnetic energy are trapped between the ground and the ionosphere, roughly 60 miles up, creating a standing wave that travels around the planet. The fundamental frequency of this wave is 7.83 hertz. This low, constant hum has been pulsing since the atmosphere was formed. Interestingly, 7.83 hertz falls within the range of human brainwaves, specifically the alpha-theta waves, which are associated with deep relaxation and the drift into sleep. Whether by coincidence or evolution, our brains in their most peaceful state resonate in harmony with the atmospheric heartbeat of the world we live in. In the realm of quantum physics, there is a mystery that Einstein famously called spooky action at a distance, but which we can think of as an eternal connection. This is quantum entanglement. It occurs when two particles interact and become linked. Even if you separate them by billions of miles, placing one on Earth and one in a distant galaxy, they remain connected. If you measure the state of one particle, the other one instantly, faster than the speed of light, adopts a corresponding state. It is as if they are two parts of the same whole, refusing to acknowledge the space between them. It suggests that at a fundamental level, separation is an illusion. Once things have touched, they are always related, always communicating across the vast silence of the universe. In the high deserts of Namibia, and occasionally in other arid regions, there is a plant that looks less like a shrub and more like a tangled pile of octopus tentacles. This is the Welwitschia mirabilis. It is a botanical oddity because it only ever grows 2 leaves. That's it. For its entire life, which can last over 1,000 years, the same 2 leaves just keep growing from the base, becoming tattered, twisted, and curled by the desert wind until they look like a massive heap. It survives in one of the driest places on Earth by absorbing moisture from coastal fogs through special pores on its leaves. It is a lesson in simplicity and endurance. It doesn't need new branches or seasonal blooms. It just needs its 2 original leaves and the patience to sit in the sand, century after century, drinking the fog. Finally, consider the mystery of the hum of the sun. We tend to think of the sun as a silent ball of fire because sound cannot travel through the vacuum of space to reach us. But the sun is actually incredibly noisy. It is a churning ball of hot gas, and these movements create massive sound waves that bounce around inside it, causing the sun to vibrate like a ringing bell. This field of study is called heliosismology. By watching the surface of the sun ripple, scientists can hear the frequencies it produces. It creates a deep, rhythmic throbbing, millions of times lower than human hearing can detect. If space were filled with air, the sun would be incredibly loud, but the vacuum protects us. Instead, the sun sings its song to itself, a private, burning resonance that holds the solar system in its warm embrace. Let us drift back down to the snowy fields of the northern hemisphere for a phenomenon that combines the playfulness of winter with the precision of the wind. Occasionally, after a fresh snowfall, people wake up to find their fields covered in what look like perfect snowballs or rolled up carpets of snow. These are called snow rollers. They are not made by children playing in the yard. They are made by the wind itself. For a snow roller to form, the conditions must be exact. There must be a layer of ice on top of the snow to prevent it from sticking to the ground, and the snow must be just wet enough to pack together, but loose enough to be moved. A steady, gentle wind scoops up a small chunk of snow and rolls it along. As it rolls, it gathers more layers, growing into a cylinder that is hollow in the middle, like a Swiss roll cake. They stop when the wind dies down or they get too heavy. They stand there in the white silence, delicate sculptures created by the invisible hands of the breeze, destined to melt as quietly as they appeared. In the vast, lonely expanse of the North Pacific Ocean, a unique voice has been singing for decades. Since the late 1980s, sonar systems have tracked a single whale calling out at a frequency of 52 hertz. This is much higher than the deep, rumbling calls of blue whales or fin whales, which usually communicate at around 15 to 20 hertz. Because of this unique pitch, this whale cannot be heard by other whales, or at least they do not respond to him. He is known as the 52 hertz whale, or sometimes the loneliest whale in the world. He travels alone, his migration path differing from other pods. While the name sounds sad, scientists see it as a testament to resilience. This whale has survived and thrived for decades on his own, singing his own unique song into the deep blue. It is a reminder that being different is a natural part of life, and that one can swim through the vast ocean of existence to one's own rhythm, safe and strong in one's solitude. In the kitchen, there is a paradox that you might have observed yourself, a simple mystery of thermal physics known as the Mpemba effect. Logic tells us that cold water should freeze faster than hot water because it is already closer to the freezing point. However, under certain conditions, hot water actually freezes faster than cold water. This was observed by Aristotle thousands of years ago, but it was reintroduced to modern science by a Tanzanian student named Erasto Mpemba in the 1960s, who noticed his warm ice cream mix froze faster than the cooled mix. Scientists are still debating the exact mechanism, whether it involves evaporation, cooling the water, or convection currents moving the heat around, or the way hydrogen bonds stretch when warm. It is a humble reminder that nature does not always follow the straight line of logic we expect. Sometimes, warmth is the quickest path to cooling down. Deep in the woods of Pennsylvania, there is a field of boulders known as the Ringing Rocks. To the eye, they look like ordinary stones, red and weathered. But if you strike them gently with a hammer or another rock, they do not make a dull thud. They ring like a bell. They produce a clear, metallic tone that resonates through the air. When struck in sequence, they sound like a lithic xylophone. Geologists know the rocks are made of diabase, a type of volcanic rock, and they believe the sound comes from the high internal tension within the stones, created as they cooled and settled eons ago. They are tension held in stasis, waiting for a touch to release their song. It is a stone choir resting silently in the forest, holding music inside the heaviest of materials. Let us descend into the deepest trenches of the ocean, where the pressure is immense and the water is near freezing. Here, we find the phenomenon of deep sea gigantism. In this dark, quiet world, creatures often grow to sizes that seem impossible to us on the surface. There are isopods, which look like pill bugs, that grow to the size of a football. There are squids the size of school buses. The Japanese spider crab spans 12 feet from claw to claw. The soothing explanation for this is related to the slow pace of life in the deep. The cold temperatures slow down metabolisms, leading to longer lifespans and slow, steady growth over many years. In the absence of frantic predators and the rush of surface life, these creatures have the time and space to simply grow, expanding into the darkness with a slow, majestic grace. Far beyond our galaxy, in the cosmic microwave background, which is the afterglow of the Big Bang, there is a large area that puzzles astronomers. It is known simply as the CMB cold spot. The universe is generally a very uniform temperature, a steady background hum of heat left over from its creation. But this one specific region, spanning 1 billion light years across, is significantly colder than its surroundings. It is a vast, empty void, a supervoid with far fewer galaxies and stars than the rest of space. It is like a cool breeze in a warm room. Some theorists gently suggest it could be the imprint of a parallel universe pressing against our own, a cosmic kiss from another dimension. Or it is simply a vast, quiet hollow where the universe decided to leave a little open space. A peaceful clearing in the forest of galaxies. Back within the human mind, there is a condition that feels like a superpower, known as synesthesia. For people with this trait, the stimulation of one sense automatically triggers another. They might hear a specific piece of music and see a burst of color. A sea sharp might look like a splash of shimmering blue. They might taste the flavor of strawberries when they touch a certain texture. It is a crossing of the wires in the most beautiful way, where the brain refuses to keep experiences in separate boxes. It suggests that our perception of reality is fluid and personal. For a synesthete, the world is a multi-sensory symphony, where numbers have personalities and days of the week have colors. It is a reminder that the mind is capable of painting the world in layers of richness that we are only just beginning to understand. Passing through your body right now, at this very second, are trillions of ghosts, like particles called neutrinos. They are produced by the fusion reactions in the sun and other stars. They are incredibly small and have almost no mass. Because they barely interact with matter, they don't stop for anything. They fly straight through the empty space between the atoms of your body, straight through the Earth, and out the other side, continuing their journey across the universe. You cannot feel them, and they do not harm you. They are cosmic travelers, carrying information from the heart of the sun, passing through us like light through a window. It connects us intimately to the cosmos. We are not solid barriers, but open vessels, constantly bathed in the silent stream of starlight. High above the atmosphere, astronauts experience a profound cognitive shift that has been named the overview effect. When they look down at the Earth from space, seeing it as a fragile blue marble suspended in the void, the boundaries that divide us on the ground, countries, politics, conflicts, seem to vanish. They are replaced by an overwhelming sense of connection and stewardship. They report a feeling of deep peace and a realization that everything on the planet is one single, interconnected system. It is a psychological awakening, a sudden expansion of empathy brought on by a change in perspective. It suggests that the solution to many of our worries is simply to step back, to zoom out, and to see the beautiful unity of the whole. Let us listen to the deepest note in the universe. In the Perseus cluster of galaxies, there is a supermassive black hole that is humming. Astronomers detected sound waves rippling through the hot gas surrounding the black hole. When they analyzed the frequency, they found it was a B flat. But it is not a B flat you could play on a piano. It is 57 octaves below middle C. This frequency is 1,000,000 billion times deeper than the limits of human hearing. It has been singing this low, steady note for 2 billion years. The sound waves carry energy, keeping the surrounding gas warm and preventing it from forming new stars. It is a cosmic lullaby, a song sung in the dark that keeps the galaxy in balance, a vibration so deep it acts as a heater for the stars. In the warm waters of Puerto Rico, specifically in Mosquito Bay, the water itself comes alive at night. This is one of the brightest bioluminescent bays in the world. The water is filled with microscopic organisms called dinoflagellates. When the water is disturbed by a paddle, a boat, or a hand trailing in the water, these organisms emit a burst of blue, green light. The wake of a kayak looks like a trail of blue fire. If you cup the water in your hands and let it trickle down your arms, it looks like glittering diamonds. The light is a defense mechanism meant to startle predators, but to us, it looks like pure magic. It is a place where movement creates light, where the ocean responds to your touch with a glow, reminding us that the world is reactive, alive, and full of hidden radiance. Finally, let us contemplate the mystery of the double slit experiment. It is a famous experiment in quantum physics that reveals the shyness of the universe. If you fire particles, like electrons, through two slits at a wall, they create a pattern as if they were waves, rippling and interfering with each other. But if you place a sensor to watch which slit the electron actually goes through, the behavior changes. The electron suddenly acts like a solid particle, going through just one slit, like a tiny marble. The act of observing it changes how it behaves. It implies that at the most fundamental level, reality is not fixed until it is seen. The universe waits for an observer. It suggests a relationship between the witness and the world, a gentle hint that our attention matters, and that by looking at the world with curiosity, we are helping to shape it into being. We have traveled far tonight, you and I. We have drifted from the snow, covered valleys of Norway to the deep, singing dunes of the desert. We have floated through the neon rivers of Puerto Rico and looked down from the silence of space to see our blue world suspended in the void. We have listened to the hum of the earth and the whisper of the stars. And now, the journey brings us back to the most important place of all, right here, in the safety and warmth of your own bed. As these stories settle in your mind, let them become like a soft, heavy quilt, layering over you with a sense of comfort and peace. We often spend our days searching for answers, trying to organize the world into neat little boxes of known and understood. But tonight, we have reminded ourselves that the world is not always neat, and it is certainly not small. It is vast, wild, and beautifully mysterious. There is a profound relief in realizing that we do not have to understand everything to enjoy it. We can simply exist alongside the mystery. We can float in the current of the unknown, trusting that the universe is holding us, just as it holds the planets in their orbits and the stars in the sky. Take a moment now to feel the stillness of the room around you. The air is quiet. The shadows are soft. Everything is exactly as it should be. If there are still thoughts drifting through your mind, let them float away like those little boats of light on the river. You don't need them right now. Tomorrow will be there when you wake up. But for now, this time belongs entirely to you. It is a time for rest, for restoration, and for the gentle work of dreaming. Feel the weight of your body sinking deeper into the mattress. Let your shoulders drop a little further away from your ears. Unclench your jaw and let your hands rest open and loose. Feel the rhythm of your own breathing, that steady, rising and falling tide that has been with you since the moment you arrived in this world. It is your own personal ocean, lapping at the shores of sleep. In and out, slow and steady, The mysteries we spoke of tonight, the glowing lights, the silent signals, the enduring trees, they will all still be there while you sleep. The earth will keep spinning. The fireflies and the smokies will keep flashing their silent code. The whales will keep singing their songs into the deep blue. The universe is awake so that you don't have to be. You can let go of the watch. You can close your eyes and trust that the world is taking care of itself. Thank you for inviting me into your evening. It has been a privilege to share these stories with you, to walk beside you through the gallery of the unexplained. Here at the Slience channel, our goal is always to provide you with a sanctuary, a place where the noise of the world fades away, replaced by the calm of wonder. We hope that tonight you found a little bit of magic in the facts and a lot of peace in the storytelling. As you drift off, imagine yourself in one of the places we visited. Maybe you are lying in the tall grass beneath the morning glory clouds, watching them roll slowly by. Maybe you are floating in the warm, pink waters of Lake Hillier, feeling weightless and supported. Or maybe you are just here, in the comfort of your own home, surrounded by the quiet, protective night. The stars are watching over you. The night is wrapping you in its cool, velvet arms. You are safe. You are warm. And you are ready to rest. From all of us here at Slience, we wish you the sweetest of dreams. Let the mystery fade into the background now. Let the silence take over. Good night.